The great educator, Mr. Rogers, once said, "When I think of Robert Frost's poems like The Road Not Taken, I feel the support of someone who is on my side, who understands what life's choices are like, someone who says, 'I've been there and it's okay to go on.'" These words really spoke to me. The Road Not Taken is one of my favorite poems, and I'm glad Mr. Rogers absorbed the same message from the poem as I did. There should always be someone that someone else can lean and depend on. The gifts I received from the Fred Rogers Scholars Program will be used in my classroom to aid my future students. I believe that the decisions a person makes during adolescence affect the rest of their life. I hope that my future students can come to me with any problems they are having and know that someone is on their side. I hope to help my students by sharing my life experiences and leading them in the right direction. I hope to guide my future students just as Mr. Rogers guided millions of children. I hope my future students will never be afraid to travel the road not taken. Thank you.
Fred Rogers once said, "What's been important in my understanding of myself and others is the fact that each one of us is so much more than any one thing. A sick child is much more than his or her sickness. A person with a disability is much, much more than a handicap. A pediatrician is more than a medical doctor. You're much more than your job description, or your age, or your income, or your output." In essence, Fred proposes the idea that we are all more than any one label. We are a combination of many wonderful aspects that define who we are. We cannot be summed up into one word that merely describes a condition, occupation, or disability. We are much, much more than any one thing. We are unique individuals with many different ideas and dreams. Although everyone is not able to do everything, everyone is able to do something to the best of their ability. We all have different abilities and potential and are able to contribute to society in some way. Fred would agree that no matter your age, ability, or skill level, you are important and can plant positive seeds. Through the Fred Rogers Scholars Program, I hope to gain insight into Fred's beliefs about and experiences with children. As I plan to become a special education teacher, Fred's tendency to point out children's abilities rather than disabilities is particularly of interest to me. Fred's love and compassion for children and individuals of all abilities cause everyone to feel like a welcome neighbor. Thank you.
Fred Rogers once said, "The child in me is still, and sometimes not so still." With this quote, I think Mr. Rogers meant that the child in him is persistent. He will always be young at heart. And conversely, by not so still, I believe he implies that the child within does not always stay within. It shines through in his personality and is observed in his interactions with his audience in his many years of children's programming. This quote was from the book You Are Special, but it was not until last Wednesday when I couldn't get into a meeting because of a locked back door with Dr. Lee. So I took the time to look around our beautiful Fred Rogers Center and see the amazing exhibits suspended by the staircase. The panels of the display are wonderful, whimsical doodles of abstract, silly creatures that can be viewed from all angles. Appropriately then, the piece is titled The Upside Down Mural by Roman Verosco and dedicated to Mr. Rogers in 2008. The display includes this quote and is meant to celebrate the child within, all people and all ages and all places throughout all time. So many times I've walked by but never really took time to really examine this until I was waiting, silently hoping for somebody to let me in the door. I feel like there's some sort of lesson here along the lines of taking time to observe and enjoy the little things in life. And although he might be gone, I think Mr. Rogers would really appreciate this and like these little happy accidents, such as the one that I experienced.
Mr. Rogers once said, "Childhood is not just clowns and balloons. In fact, childhood goes to the very heart of who we all become." This year, I entered Saint Vincent with such a clear life path. I was going to major in psychology and then become an educational advocate. As you have probably suspected, this has changed slightly. After attending my child development class and yes, working on research with Dr. Lee, I have realized that no matter what job title I end up with, the most important thing is that I'm helping kids. I've begun to realize that childhood isn't just a developmental phase, but rather it's a mentality. It's a mentality of kindness, love, and joy. There is so much negativity in the world. There's so much violence and hatred. And I think we can all keep in mind the mentality of childhood to help counteract the noise. I'm not saying we should look at the world through rose-colored glasses. That may lead to avoiding all of our problems. But we do need to keep in mind that not everyone is bad, that not all people with different viewpoints than ours are an enemy. Through the Fred Rogers Scholars Program, I know I will be meeting many people who are already working on this, and I can hope that I can somehow contribute. Mr. Rogers spent his entire life helping children shape their view of the world and themselves, and I want to help continue his legacy. In 4 years, I may be preparing to attend law school or maybe just graduate school, but my degree does not matter. What matters is that I want to help ensure that children and adults realize that there is so much more to childhood than just clowns and balloons.
We live in a modern world characterized by instant gratification. Times have changed from the days where you could only contact a person who lived far away by letter, and you had to cook food over the fire to eat it. Today, messages take seconds to send and be received thanks to modern technology. Things are fast, things are simple, and things are seen as good. But somewhere along the way, we have lost sight of the fact what we are missing when we accept these easy solutions. Yes, things are fast, simple, and can be good, but at what cost? It's so easy to be caught up with taking the easy paths in life that sometimes we forget how good a face-to-face conversation can be, how delicious a meal from scratch can taste. Instant gratification does not always equal instant satisfaction. In fact, in many situations, it doesn't even come close. Yes, things today are easier and in many cases better, but it also needs to be remembered that taking roads that we think will be easier is not always the best choice to take. Mr. Rogers shared this sentiment. He once said, "I hope you're proud of yourself for the times you've said yes, when all that meant was extra work for you and was seemingly helpful only to somebody else." Mr. Rogers was not a stranger to difficult paths in life. As one of the major advocates of child development, media, and education, he strove to make the world a better place for future generations of children to grow and learn in a positive way. There weren't a lack of obstacles when taking this path, yet he realized that the outcome was worth any and all effort he put into traversing it. I think this is what is so critical to understand about this quote, and about life itself. The choice can be difficult, the road can be harder, but despite this, choosing to take the harder path is worth it in the end. It may not seem like it in the beginning, and it may not even seem like it when you've almost reached the end. But once the goal, the finale, the end is reached, that is when the worth will reveal itself. When you complete something that was seemingly so difficult to do, even if it was something that you weren't even doing for yourself, you have accomplished something. And there is pride in that. There is pride in knowing that you have worked to the best of your ability to achieve whatever the result is. Pride in knowing that you have given all that you got. Mr. Rogers realized this and wanted to spread that message to those of us who are having difficulty in seeing why it has to be so hard to do something just to reach an end. As I am standing here today, I see many people from different walks of life. However, no matter what background we are from, we are all going to be faced at some point in life with the decision between an easy and hard means to an end. Some of us have already experienced this type of decision, and some of us have not yet been faced with this ordeal. However, I hope when this time comes and goes, we can look back and say that we are proud that we took the harder road, no matter how bumpy it was along the way.